January 3, 1868. Kyoto Imperial Palace, Kogosho. Emperor Meiji, just 15 years old. This night, 260 years of Japan's history was about to end. The restoration of imperial rule. Court nobles and senior retainers from Satsuma and Choshu led the charge. In that moment, what did the young emperor feel? He was likely confused. History was moving forward not by his will, but by the decisions of those around him. Iwakura Tomomi, Okubo Toshimichi, their faces filled with determination. On this day, the transition from Tokugawa rule became inevitable. But what they didn't know yet was that civil war was about to begin. Yet this change didn't happen overnight. 15 years earlier. July 8, 1853. Off the coast of Uraga, 4 black ships appeared. Commodore Matthew Perry. His mission was clear: to open Japan. The Japanese people had never seen steamships before. Massive vessels spewing black smoke. They were like sea monsters. The shogunate was shaken to its core. Over 200 years of isolation policy, rendered powerless in an instant. The shogunate had no choice. Resist and face war. But their chances of victory? Zero. March 31, 1854. The Treaty of Peace and Amity between the United States and Japan. Shimoda and Hakodate were opened. The isolation system underwent a massive shift. The faces of the senior counselors were rigid. They knew this was the beginning of the end. As they signed the treaty, they were likely thinking, "We have failed to protect Japan." Trade would intensify further after 1858. Opening the country sent shockwaves through Japan. Joy, expel the foreigners. From around 1862 to 1864, this ideology spread across the nation. Satsuma, Choshu, Tosa. Young samurai from each domain rose up. The Namamugi Incident, the Shimonoseki War, the Anglo-Satsuma War. The expulsion movement linked foreign conflicts with anti-shogunate politics. Their anger was directed at the shogunate. Why did you submit to foreigners? Why couldn't you protect Japan? Secret meetings were held. Dimly lit rooms. Swords laid across tatami mats. Something began to burn in their hearts. It was their resolve to overthrow the shogunate. Then, November 9, 1867. Nijo Castle. Tokugawa Yoshinobu made his decision. Taisei Hoken, returning political power to the imperial court. What was he thinking in that moment? Yoshinobu knew. Against the military might of Satsuma and Choshu, the shogunate couldn't win. If they fought civil war, all of Japan would become a battlefield. Better to transfer power peacefully. This was for Japan's sake. The hall fell silent. No one blamed Yoshinobu. Everyone understood this was an inevitable ending. But simply returning power wasn't the end. It would lead to the restoration of imperial rule, and then to the Boshin War. After the restoration, the true battle began. The Boshin War. A civil war between the new government forces and the old shogunate forces. From 1868 to 1869, Japan became a battlefield. Iwakura Tomomi, Okubo Toshimichi, Saigo Takamori. They formed the core of the new government. But before them lay an enormous challenge. How do we build a modern nation? According to records, Iwakura said, "We have no time. The Western powers are closing in." Western colonization. China had fallen in the Opium Wars. India was under British rule. Japan might be next. They were afraid. But at the same time, they were determined. Make Japan strong. On this single point, their will was united. August 29, 1871. Tokyo. Okubo Toshimichi carried out the most daring reform. Abolition of the Han system. All 260-plus domains across the nation abolished in an instant. Replaced with a prefecture system. This was a revolution. The domain lords lost their power. The samurai lost their positions. Resistance was inevitable. But Okubo didn't hesitate. We cannot modernize while maintaining the feudal system. He knew Europe's great powers were centralized states. Okubo's eyes were sharp as he gazed at the maps. His hand gripped the documents. This decision would change Japan's destiny. January 10, 1873. The conscription ordinance was issued. Military service became mandatory for men. Universal conscription. The system transformation advanced. This was the final declaration against the samurai class. Until then, the privilege of fighting belonged to the samurai. Peasants weren't even allowed to carry weapons. But now, peasants would become soldiers. Training grounds. Young men wearing military uniforms for the first time. Their faces showed confusion. Hands that had tilled fields yesterday now gripped rifles. We're soldiers? But the government's intent was clear. All citizens would defend the nation. This was the foundation of a modern state. And then, March 28, 1876. The Sword Abolishment Edict. In principle, wearing swords was prohibited. Military and police were exceptions, but samurai privileges rapidly dissolved. A former Satsuma samurai. He sat on the tatami, gazing at his sword. An ancestral blade. It was his identity. If I give this up, who am I? He was likely thinking, what did we fight for? Overthrowing the shogunate. Restoration of imperial rule. And now, the dissolution of the samurai class. It was ironic. The new government, created by samurai, was trying to erase the samurai. A series of policies, including stipend reductions, stripped away the samurai position. But the government's resolve was unwavering. End everything about the feudal system. But it wasn't just destruction. September 5, 1872. The Education System Order. Elementary schools established nationwide. Education reform. This determined Japan's future. In the early 1870s, school attendance rates were low. Most children couldn't even read or write. But the government believed education is the source of national power. Classrooms. Children attending school for the first time. Their eyes sparkled. The joy of gaining knowledge. Hope for the future. 30 years later, in 1902, the attendance rate exceeded 90%. This generation would transform Japan. And then February 11, 1889. The Imperial Palace. Emperor Meiji promulgated a constitution. The Constitution of the Empire of Japan. Japan's first modern constitution. Japan became one of the early constitutional states in Asia with a modern constitution. Ito Hirobumi drafted this constitution. He studied Europe and referenced the Prussian Constitution. Japan must become a nation governed by law. The moment of the Constitution's promulgation, the palace fell silent. Pride showed in the emperor's expression. Just 21 years earlier, Japan had been a feudal state. Now, it was a constitutional monarchy. The faces of government officials showed a sense of achievement. But they knew this wasn't the goal. It was only the beginning. And then the time of trial came. July 25, 1894. Off the coast of Pengdo, the Japanese Navy clashed with the Qing Navy. The First Sino-Japanese War had begun. The captain gripped his binoculars. This is the moment when Japan's modernization will be truly tested. Qing China was a great Asian power. Its population was estimated at 8 to 10 times that of Japan, with a vast disparity in national strength. Its military budget far exceeded Japan's. But Japan had weapons, education, discipline, and modern training. The bombardment began. Japanese shells hit with precision. The Qing fleet fell into chaos. April 17, 1895. Shimonoseki. Ito Hirobumi faced Li Hongjiang. Peace negotiations. The Treaty of Shimonoseki. Japan's victory. Li Hongjiang was old. He had been one of Qing China's highest leaders. But now, he sat there as the defeated. Ito's expression was stern. He felt not the joy of victory, but the weight of responsibility. The treaty's terms. Cession of Taiwan. an indemnity of 200 million taels of silver. Silver on a scale matching Japan's entire national budget transferred, becoming a source for domestic industrial investment and military expansion. Recognition of Korea's independence. This changed the balance of power in Asia. Japan was no longer a small nation. It had entered the ranks of the great powers. But the greatest trial still lay ahead. February 8, 1904. Sasebo Naval Base. Togo Hihachiro stood on the bridge. The Japanese Navy launched a surprise attack on Port Arthur, effectively beginning the war. The formal declaration of war would come 2 days later. The Russo-Japanese War. War with the Russian Empire. This was a battle for Japan's very survival. Russia was the world's greatest land power. In the early 1900s, the Russian Empire had an estimated population of 130 million. Japan had a population of around 45 to 47 million. Russia's territory covered 1/6 of the Earth. Its budget and military power far exceeded Japan's. The Western powers didn't believe Japan could win. It'll be over in 3 months. Japan will be crushed. But Togo was unmoved. His hand gripped the railing. There is no path of retreat for us. Japan's independence hung on this war. May 27, 1905. Tsushima Strait. The Battle of the Sea of Japan. Togo's fleet engaged the Baltic Fleet. Russia had sent its most powerful fleet. A 7-month voyage from the Baltic Sea. Japan had a strategy. Notably, the tactical advantage of formation known as crossing the T. Togo's order rang out. Having received reports that enemy ships have been sighted, the combined fleet will immediately proceed to seek out and destroy them. 2 p.m. Bombardment commenced. Japanese shells hit with deadly accuracy. Russian vessels burst into flames one after another. The battle was decided in a single day. The main force of the Baltic Fleet was annihilated, while Japanese losses remained relatively small. The world was stunned. September 5, 1905. Portsmouth, America. Komura Jutaro faced Russian plenipotentiary Witte. The Treaty of Portsmouth. Japan's victory. But there was no joy in Komura's expression. The treaty's terms fell short of the Japanese public's expectations. No indemnity. Only southern Sakhalin as territory. The public was outraged. This can't be called a victory. But Komura knew. This was the limit. Japan's national strength had already reached its breaking point. War expenses placed an enormous burden on the national budget, and casualties were massive. If they continued fighting, Japan would collapse. Komura signed the treaty. In that moment, Japan became a member of the great powers. But this victory didn't belong to Japan alone. Japan's victory sent shockwaves around the world. India, the Middle East, Vietnam. The news reached people under Western colonial rule across the globe. We can defeat the white powers too. This hope accelerated independence movements. Iran's constitutional revolution. Turkey's Young Turk Revolution. Vietnam's Dong Du movement. India's independence movement. The Russo-Japanese War wasn't just a single nation's victory. It became a starting point for the 20th century's decolonization process. Japan increasingly found itself treated as a great power, garnering exceptional attention even within the racial worldview of that era. 40 years. From 1868 to 1905, just 40 years. From the age of samurai to a great power. This transformation was the fastest in human history. In 1868, Japan was a feudal state. Samurai wore swords. Peasants tilled the fields. In 1905, Japan had joined the ranks of the great powers. Tokyo's cityscape had completely changed. Western-style buildings, streetcars, people dressed in Western clothes. Yet at the same time, tradition remained. Kimono, traditional Japanese houses, shrines and temples, the coexistence of modernization and tradition. This was Japan's choice. Japan and Thailand were among the few Asian nations that avoided colonization. But only Japan rose to the status of a great power. What made this miracle possible? First, education. In 30 years, school attendance exceeded 90%. Knowledge became national power. Second, flexibility. Japan learned Western technology, but preserved its culture. Third, a sense of crisis. We must avoid colonization. This fear drove Japan forward. And fourth, leadership. Emperor Meiji, Ito Hirobumi, Okubo Toshimichi, Togo Heihachiro. They looked to the future. But this rapid change came with sacrifice. The dissolution of the samurai class. The collapse of traditional values. Massive casualties from war. And modernization wasn't just about making the nation strong. It created regional disparities and resistance to conscription and increased taxation, shaking society. Success and friction advanced together. The price of modernization was never small. Now, I ask you, change always comes with sacrifice. But refusing change means extinction. If your nation faced the same choice, what would you do? Refuse modernization to preserve tradition, or accept change to survive? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching until the end. Meiji Japan's 40 years were a story of change and adaptation. We continue to learn from this history today. At Turning Point History, we continue to explore these pivotal moments in human history. If you're interested in history's decisive moments, subscribe to the channel and experience the next story with me. Until next time.